Trees are often described as the lungs of the earth as they produce a significant amount of the earth's oxygen and play an important role in keeping the air and global temperatures in balance, helping to create the environmental conditions that allowed humans and other animals to evolve and thrive. This is part of why I've been involved in planting trees in the Scottish Highlands through the charity Trees for Life. Trees have been on Earth for around 370 million years, and today they are found in almost every ecosystem around the world. There are over 58,000 known species of tree, ranging from a few centimetres tall, like the dwarf willow, to coastal redwood trees that can grow to over 100 metres tall, and there are over 400 trees on Earth for every one human. Despite this, there are a lot of amazing facts about trees that people generally don't know, despite how much we need trees and the biodiversity they are part of. With that in mind, here are 10 things you should know about trees. 1. Palm and banana trees are not actually trees. Trees, like all plants, absorb water and nutrients through their roots. Trees also take in water and carbon dioxide through their leaves and use energy from the sun to convert these chemicals into glucose, a type of sugar, for food. The waste product from this process, oxygen, is released back into the atmosphere. If you look below the surface of the bark on a branch, you will see a soft layer called the vascular cambium, which each year grows new wood called xylem on the inside and new bark called phloem on the outside. This structure is what allows trees to grow much bigger than most other plants. The xylem carries water and nutrients from the roots up through the rest of the tree, while the phloem carries sugars from the leaves down through the tree. This process is described as secondary growth. Although all plants undergo primary growth, where the roots and stem of the plant grow in length, most seed-bearing plants also undergo secondary growth when roots and stems thicken and become woody. However, not all plants that undergo secondary growth become trees. Palm and banana trees are both classed as monocots, meaning they do not undergo a stage of secondary growth. Further to this, palm trees have a single central axis which produces a single shoot that branches out at regular intervals, and they have a thin fibrous layer instead of bark, which does not offer protection or store water. As for banana trees, they do not have a woody stem, instead having a stem that consists of tightly packed leaves, and they are technically classified as herbs. So, neither palm or banana trees are actually trees. 2. Fossils teach us a lot about the history of trees. Typically, when someone mentions fossils, you are likely to think of animal remains such as dinosaur bones. However, plants and trees can also become fossils in a process known as petrification. Petrified wood forms underground when a tree becomes buried in water, volcanic ash, or sediment. The reduced levels of oxygen obstructs decomposition caused by fungi and bacteria. Then groundwater, which is rich in dissolved solids, flows through the sediment and replaces the original tree material with organic materials such as silica, calcite, or pyrite. The resulting fossil can often show details of the bark, wood, and cell structure of the tree. Although a lot of details can often be seen, fossil discoveries often only represent a small fraction of a past tree. Sometimes botanists have to undertake some detective work over many years to see the bigger picture. In 1869, many fossil tree trunks were found in Gilboa, New York, which indicated to botanists that they had discovered an ancient forest. However, there was little evidence of the tree's individual characteristics. It took 137 years before an intact specimen was discovered that allowed botanists to identify that they had in fact found the world's oldest tree-form plant that would have grown to around 8 metres high. Fossils can also reveal information about environments and geographical arrangements. For example, the burnt fossil remains of a leafless plant found in the UK, dating back around 420 million years, indicated that, at that time, there must have been lightning or some other form of spark, plus vegetation and a high enough level of oxygen in the atmosphere to cause wildfires. Similarly, a fossil of a swamp-dwelling tree discovered by Robert Falcon Scott in his expedition to Antarctica in 1912 revealed that trees were growing around 500 kilometres away from the South Pole, providing evidence that Antarctica was once much warmer than it is today. 3. Trees are vital to the survival of millions of species. Trees form a vital part of many ecosystems and habitats, where the trees rely on other plants and animals to survive, and those plants and animals in turn rely on the trees. This is part of why I've been involved in planting trees to help rewild the Scottish Highlands through the charity Trees for Life. I'll put a link in the description if you wish to donate a tree to my grove. The Amazon rainforest is the largest rainforest in the world, larger than the next two biggest rainforests combined. The Amazon is home to more than 15,000 species of trees, and the diversity of their heights and shapes provides perfect living conditions for a diverse ecological environment, which includes 40,000 plant species. It is also home to over 5,000 vertebrate species, including fish, birds, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles, and over 2.5 million species of insect. If you look closely at the tangarana tree that grows in parts of South and Central America, you will see venomous fire ants scurrying over its bark and disappearing into holes in the trunk that the ants make their home. As recently as 2014, this tree was used to punish criminals by tying them to the tree, exposing them to the stings of the ants. This is why it is also called the justice tree. You don't need to travel far, though, to see the diverse ecosystems built around trees. In the UK, the two native species of oak tree, English oak and sessile oak, are jointly home to over 2,300 species of plants, fungi, and animals. Of these, 236 species need oak to survive, and a further 229 species are rarely linked with any other trees. Unfortunately, human activity is having a devastating effect on ecosystems through destruction, such as deforestation and pollution of environments. Biodiversity provides us with food, medicine, and materials. However, when enough species disappear, entire ecosystems could collapse. Today, more than 17,500 tree species are threatened with extinction. 4. African elephants disperse the seeds of 500 species of plant. When Sir Isaac Newton saw an apple fall from a tree, he was inspired to explore the force that caused the apple to fall down. From this, he developed the theory of gravity. However, it was not only gravity that was at play here. Newton had witnessed a tree spreading its seed. The process of a plant spreading its seeds is called seed dispersal, and there are many different methods, such as relying on gravity, using animals, using the wind to spread seeds, and using water. With all of these methods, the overall aim is the same: for the seed to find suitable conditions for a new tree or plant to grow. Using animals to disperse seeds is one of the most popular methods of spreading seeds, especially in wetter environments, with 50 to 75% of all trees in tropical forests using this method of seed dispersal through having fruits which have seeds in them. When these fruits are eaten by birds or mammals, the seeds pass through the animal system and come out in their poo, which is a nutrient-rich environment perfect for seeds to grow in. The hornbill species of bird are especially good at this, spreading 95% of the seeds they eat up to 12 kilometers away from the original tree. As impressive as that is, it does not compare with the African elephant, responsible for spreading the seeds of 500 different species of plant up to 65 kilometers away from their starting point. It's not just large animals that play a part in seed dispersal, though. Ants are also involved in dispersing seeds. Some seeds have a protein or lipid-rich outer coating. The ants carry this seed back to their nest, eat the coating, and then discard the seed back outside the nest, where it can then start to grow. In some forests, ants also carry away the majority of the fruit that has fallen to the ground, helping to spread the seeds beyond where they began. 5. Trees underpin our existence on Earth. For around 800 years, the Nazca people lived in Peru, South America, leaving behind the famous Nazca lines, large designs on the ground using durable elements of the landscape known as geoliths. A sophisticated society that farmed their land using irrigation systems to draw water from nearby rivers, they mysteriously disappeared around 1,600 years ago. One explanation is the destruction of the huarango tree to create land for farming. This tree was vital to keeping the land moist and regulate temperatures. Without the tree, the whole ecosystem failed, taking the Nazca society along with it. The Nazca people did not know how important trees are, knowledge that we have today. Trees draw up water from the ground, which then evaporates from their leaves in a process called transpiration. Through this, trees help regulate global temperatures. In some cities in Europe, tree-covered areas can reduce the land surface temperature by up to 12 degrees Celsius. Transpiration is also involved in rainfall, with around half of the rainfall in the Amazon rainforest coming from this process. Trees also help regulate the global climate by trapping and locking up carbon within the tree for its lifetime, provided the tree stays intact. Trees absorb carbon dioxide through a process called photosynthesis, which results in the tree releasing oxygen, which is essential for our survival. Not only do they contribute to the air we breathe, but trees also provide us food in the form of nuts and fruits, with apples being the most important tree fruit with a global market worth over 78 billion US dollars. The wood from trees also helped in the evolution of societies, with wood being used as a handle on many different tools. Trees have also developed many different strategies for deterring pests and protecting themselves from dangers in the environment. Often these are also effective against human diseases, leading to the development of a range of medicines, from cancer-fighting medicines to ways of helping regulate glucose levels in those with diabetes. Studies have also shown that simply being among trees can be good for your health, with a walk in the woods being attributed to reduced heart rate and blood pressure, better quality of sleep, and improved mental health. 6. UK trees are in a fight for their survival. We have all recently come through a pandemic where an illness in one part of the world quickly spread and affected people around the globe. This was made easier for the virus to achieve due to how much international travel we undertake. In a very similar way, trees throughout the UK are under attack from numerous pests and diseases that have travelled here from abroad, putting them in a fight for their survival. Ash dieback, a disease caused by a fungus, is expected to kill 95 to 99% of all the ash trees in the UK. Initially showing as wilted leaves, lesions on the bark and withered shoots, as the disease progresses, it causes the system which carries water and nutrients around the tree to fail. The tree eventually dies of the disease or, weakened, falls victim to other harmful organisms. This is not the first fight faced by a tree species in the UK though. In the 1960s and 70s, Dutch elm disease wiped out around 25 million mature elm trees, and this danger still is not past, with wych elms and field elms, both introduced to the UK during World War II, still under attack. In fact, in 2023, the UK's oldest elm tree, a wych elm tree in the Scottish Highlands, was killed by the disease after reaching almost 800 years old. Making up around 16% of the UK's broadleaf woodlands, oak trees are a strong symbol in the UK. However, they are currently under attack by a bacteria and beetle combination. The bacteria are drawn to the nitrogen in the oak tree. The bacteria breaks down the trunk, leaving a chemical trail. The beetles are drawn to this and come and lay all their eggs in the tree, with the bacteria doing the job of softening up and eating the wood, rotting the tree. These are only some of the tree species in a fight for their survival. As mentioned in point 5, with all the benefits trees bring to our own health, as well as the health of ecosystems and climate, it is important that we do what we can to preserve our trees. 7. 2.4 billion plant seeds are stored in the UK. The importance of a forest can sometimes be a subjective experience. A scientist may see its worth to biodiversity, while to local villagers it may be a source of food. Tourists and hikers may see its value for their health, while politicians and construction firms may see its value as timber. Throughout this video, I've been talking about all the positive effects that trees have on the environment and ourselves. Furthermore, trees are a vital part of ecosystems in which new animal and plant species are still being discovered. So, what are people doing to protect trees? There are two main ways of conserving trees and other plant life. These are in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. In situ conservation means protecting the trees and plants in their original habitats. The main method of in situ conservation is the development of protected areas such as national parks, which provide legal protection to these areas. Yellowstone National Park in the United States of America is considered the oldest true national park, with the aim of protecting the plant and animal life there, as well as protecting the natural landscape. To date, there are more than 285,000 protected areas around the world, with approximately 21% of the global area covered by forest receiving some form of legal protection. Ex situ conservation involves methods such as preserving seeds, tissue samples or DNA samples in locations away from the natural habitat, as well as maintaining living samples of the plant species. To preserve seeds, they must first be dried out, tested to make sure they will still be able to grow in the right conditions, and then put into a deep freeze at around -20 degrees Celsius. Not all seeds can be preserved this way, however. Some are vulnerable to the drying process, while others need frozen in liquid nitrogen at -196 degrees Celsius. In the UK, the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, have the Millennium Seed Bank, home to the largest, most diverse collection of wild plant genetic material anywhere in the world. Currently, the collection includes 40,000 different species from 190 different countries or territories, storing around 2.4 million seeds. 8. It takes two people and a ruler to measure tree height. People love champions and records, and when it comes to trees, people are no different. Many countries around the world collect data about trees and celebrate champions for all sorts of different achievements. There is an Indian banyan tree found in Andhra Pradesh in India, which has a crown that spreads over 2.19 hectares, a size larger than 2 football pitches. In West Sussex in the UK, there is an Algerian oak tree which is both a British and world champion, stretching to over 33.5 metres in height, making it the largest tree of its species anywhere in the world. In the UK, trees are designated as champions of their species if they are the tallest by height or fattest by circumference around the trunk, with the Tree Register of the British Isles recording all the vital data for around 250,000 notable trees, 75,000 of which are either county, national, British or world champions. Giant redwood trees are among the fastest growing trees in the UK, however they still have some way to go to compete with their relatives in America. In 2021, the tallest coast redwood in Britain was 56 metres tall, while in America the tree named Hyperion, which is found in Redwood National Park, was an incredible 115 metres high. So how do you actually measure the height of a tree? First, you'll need to have two people. One of these people has a ruler with a notch or line marked at 1 inch. The person holding the ruler holds it away from themselves at full stretch, ensuring that the tree fits exactly between 0 and 12 inches on the ruler. The second person places a marker on the tree at the height of the notch or mark as seen by the ruler holder. By then measuring from the ground up to that mark, you know 1/12 of the height, so all you have to do is multiply that by 12, and there you go. You now have measured the height of the tree. 9. Trees can help us see into the past. As a child, I remember hearing that you could tell the age of a tree by counting the rings found within its trunk once the tree has been chopped down. I can't remember where I heard it from, and I never looked into the truth of the matter. You may have also heard the same thing at some time. Every year, as a tree grows from its outside edge, it forms new cells from the living tissue located just below the bark. As this new layer is laid down, it envelops the dead wood from the previous seasons, and the trunk grows outwards over time. The years of growth do show up within the trunks of trees in the form of parallel circles, such as you might find in a tree stump. It is possible to collect a small sample though, without having to cut a tree down. Through these layers of growth extending back to the core, trees reveal to us their age. Age is not all that is revealed within these layers. Differences within the size of the rings can provide an insight into how the climate changed while the tree was growing. Water, sunlight and temperature all play a part in the growth of a tree. When conditions are favourable, trees go through a growth spurt, while growth slows down in harsher conditions. In the White Mountains of eastern California, there is a collection of ancient bristlecone pines, with the oldest living tree being over 5,000 years old. To put that in perspective, it was around 500 years after that tree first sprouted that the Great Pyramid of Giza was completed. Through the trees in this group, both living and dead, scientists have been able to complete a timeline dating back around 9,000 years. The oldest timeline developed from tree rings was collected from German oak trees and dates back around 12,500 years. Through understanding how climate conditions affect tree growth and having long timelines from the trees, scientists are able to study historical weather and climate patterns, giving us a glimpse into the past as well as an indication of how trees may cope with the changing climate conditions currently being observed. 10. Trees inspire innovations in architecture, robotics, healthcare, and more. If you visit the Sagrada Familia Cathedral in Barcelona, from inside you'll see that the columns holding up the ceiling branch out at the top the same way trees do in a forest. Outside the cathedral there are columns holding up the porch of the Passion facade. These columns mimic the shape of various trees, widening towards the base, providing a wide footprint to transfer the downward forces into the foundations, the same way trees do, with a wider base to their trunk and roots spread out to widen the footprint. At Harvard University, work was being conducted into exploring how trees generate energy through photosynthesis. They created a bionic leaf and, through using some substitutes for elements used in trees, were able to replicate photosynthesis while also being 10 times more efficient. Researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, inspired by how trees transfer sugar, water and nutrients around their system, set out to find a way to create pumps to power complex movements in small robots. Also at MIT, scientists were researching the filtering powers of tree systems and discovered that they are natural sieves, even being able to filter out E. coli, rotavirus and other harmful bacteria. From this research, a prototype was developed to treat household drinking water in India, and it was found to provide extensive protection against waterborne diseases. These are just some of the ways that trees are inspiring developments in different industries. There are two final thoughts I want to leave you with. 1. Trees have been on Earth for close to 400 million years and are a vital part of global climate control and healthy ecosystems. To have survived so long, tree species have evolved and adapted in many different ways to be efficient and successful. By looking to nature, there is a lot humans can learn about the world around us and how we can innovate our technology to create a better world for us all. There is still a lot to learn from trees and a lot of new technologies that could be developed. Who knows, it could be you bringing the naturally evolved traits of trees into new technologies. 2. Although trees have evolved and adapted in many ways to survive, many tree species are in a fight for their survival due to diseases that have journeyed with travellers and infected new lands, as well as the human impact of deforestation and a changing climate due to human activity. It is important that we protect nature's resources as much as we can. In this video, you have learned of the health benefits trees bring to humans and how essential they are to ecosystems. This is part of the reason why I plant trees in the Scottish Highlands through Trees for Life, to help preserve and improve the natural habitats found there. There will be similar charities where you are if you wish to undertake something similar. I'll also leave a link in the description to Trees for Life and to my grove where you can donate a tree. Thank you for watching this Things You Should Know video. The majority of the information for this video came from 10 Things You Should Know About Trees by Carolyn Fry. I was only able to touch on a tiny fraction of the huge amount of information in this book. You can subscribe to the channel by pushing the button here, and I've added a link here to my other Things You Should Know videos and underneath to my STEM activity videos and my STEM career interviews. This has been STEM with Mr. N, exploring 10 Things You Should Know About Trees.